I just watched a documentary called The War on Kids. My wife's like, oh man, you gotta find this and make a DVD. Alright, so I did. I didn't watch it. I didn't know what it was really about. And it's about the whole education system. The schools in particular, public schools. Wow. And I'm just gonna say, we're in trouble in this country. We're in more trouble than I think I thought in that regards, because it's these kids that are future leaders. People are going to invent stuff, lead us on to the next part of our society further and better, and we're treating them like criminals for doing things that aren't criminal at all. We're loading them up on pharmaceuticals that are banned in other countries, such as Ritalin in particular. And over 90% of all sales of that drug, Ritalin, and sub whatever drugs of that, like generic brands and things, over 90% of those sales are all from America, in American cities and schools. The school system. Well, not the school system, but kids being treated, because the school system tells the parents your kid suffers from A, B, C, D, and E. One of these, he needs Ritalin or some other drug. And it's interesting because they go on to show even Columbine and many other school shootings. Every one of them, kid was on some kind of antidepressant, anti-Ritalin thing, something, with the same kind of side effects. I didn't know that the kid that did Columbine was on something, and the guy speaking on camera said he had access. I don't know if he actually worked the case. I think he said he may have in Columbine, but got the blood samples of the kid, and he was on it. In his blood, tested positive for this, stuff that's banned in other countries. However, it goes on a little bit more than just that, than just specifically the drug problem, as far as say no to drugs and dare and all that crap, but say yes to doctor approved and FDA approved worse drugs than the ones your kids want to experiment with, such as marijuana, things like that. At school age, every school has kids smoking pot, for God's sakes. But no, that's illegal. But Ritalin and these other ones that cause side effects may cause your kid to shoot up the school. And suicide, which both are in this video, suicides and killing other people. We have a major problem on our hands here in America. And if that's our system of production, of a productive economy, a productive society, forget the word economy, productive society as a whole in America, and we're treating the kids like criminals, which is part of the other thing this documentary covers, and then drugging them up when they don't comply with what the teachers wish all kids were like. Does your kid do this? Oh, he needs to go on this medication. Does he do that in class? Yeah, well, he needs to go there. And this guy brings out a book of the absolute definition that was created by, I forget which government or whatever entity it was, that said, here's the definitions. The doctors, the pharmaceutical companies, like they all got together, had a little meeting, and defined all these symptoms, and then the teachers too. And he goes off and reads word for word out of this big book of the proper definition of if your kid has any kind of a problem where he needs to be pharmaceutical or medicated. I was going to say pharmaceuticalized. I kind of like that one better. He needs to be medicated. A, does he do this? B, is there symptoms of that? C. And I'm like, this is like, what you're asking us questions are, is a kid, or do any of the kids do this, or this? I could point out almost everybody in my class when I was in school. Someone did one of those things. Don't worry about it. We got something for you. It's called this medicine. We're going to medicate you. If that's where our society comes from, which it does, it does, the public school system, that's going to be our leaders, that's going to be our politicians, that's going to be the guy cooking your food at the restaurant, etc. And we're basically destroying ourselves if we allow this current system to continue. I don't think I've ever recommended a video for you to watch ever than right now in this one. I'm going to put a link below in the description. And again, the title is simply The War on Kids. You can find it online. You can find it right on YouTube. It's waiting for you. And I will post a link. Yeah. She said the first 5 minutes is like annoying. And if you're trying to get someone to watch it that's not anywhere near awake, and you know how they don't want to see anything that you send them, and they're barely willing to look at this, right off the bat, fast forward past the first 5 minutes. Well, you'll see like little credits and this little music thing going on. Pass it. Matter of fact, you may do yourself a favor and pass it. It is kind of a little annoying. But then the documentary actually starts. A real legitimate, documentary. It's just not some nonsense. These are people, former teachers, psychiatrists, you name it. There's one section in here where they go through and show you a prison and then a school. Prison and then a school. What does the prison lunchroom look like? What does the school lunchroom look like? What does the prison outdoors, physical fitness area look like? What does the prison one look like? What do the hallways look like? What do the hallways look like in a school? And then there's one thing where they're asking little kids, which one's a prison and which one's a school? And they show a picture and the kids say prison, and they show another picture, school. And then they show another picture, prison, another picture, school. And they get some wrong. They think one's a prison and it's actually, they think some are a prison, it's actually a school. Oops. Sorry. And there's massive cameras now in schools, metal detectors, all this stuff. It's just, you got to see this documentary. I'm telling you right now. And the worst part about this is you could leave understanding that, oh my God, I need to get you may urgently tell yourself, I need to get my kids out of the school system. I can see this now. My eyes are awake. Oh my God, I don't like this. And maybe your school system doesn't have what you're about to see on this documentary, or at least not yet. And maybe you're a little more comfortable leaving your kids there. But the powers that be have us by the balls. As Rockefeller said to old Aaron Russo, he said, what do you think women's lib, 1960s, liberation, what do you think that was about? And Aaron Russo said, well, women's rights. Women have the right to vote and stuff. They got a right to go get a job and, bring home money too. He laughs at him. You idiot. And he's like, what? That's not what it was about? He goes, no. Rockefeller tells him, no. That was so we can get both the man and the woman out of the house, tax both the man and the woman at the job site, the jobs, so we can tax both of them, and get the kids out of the parents, teaching them and put them in the, his word was indoctrinate them in the school system, our way. That's what he said. Go look it up. Go look up Aaron Russo interview. It's a very worthy interview where he tells how he met Rockefeller, became real good friends, and had dinner at each other's houses. They went out together. It was great. Until he started talking to him one night about some event that was going to happen in the future where we're going to go to war and we're going to look for these terrorists, but they don't really exist, so we can just continue this perpetual war because we can never get them all. And we're going to go into Libya. We're going to go into Syria. We're going to go into Iraq and Afghanistan, all these places. This was in like 2000, year 2000, by the way. And that event was 9/11, in case you didn't figure that out. Anyways, if this is their system, and they've got both the man and woman working now, and literally it takes both the man and working nowadays to pay the bills, you're kind of in a catch-22, where even if you decide, I don't want my kids in the school system, I'm tired of it, I want to homeschool. Oh, wait a minute, I can't homeschool. Why not? Because that means my husband would be working all day, and we don't make enough money to live in this house and to pay all the bills if he's the only one working. So in other words, you don't have a choice. Your kid's going to public school system. Oh, and if not, how about private school? I bet that's better. Oh, but that's right, that costs a lot of money. Public schools are free. Private schools are not. And if you can't pay the bills, if you're trying to homeschool, you're certainly not going to be able to do that in private school. Then again, maybe you can, of course you'll be working at that time, So both of you will still be working, but then you have that big expense of public or private school, which a lot of people can't afford. So you're stuck in the public education system. And what they are breeding and allowing, creating, is, if this continues for I don't know how much longer, but we're going to have one really, really, really bad, not one, but many major problems on our hands as a society, in America specifically. This is very interesting, though, because I always look back at the Roman Empire collapsing, and they were at the peak of their, peak of everything, the technology and great marvels of creation of these huge facilities, the Colosseum. They had water, public, running water, toilet facilities, things, and it went miles inland. This was, nobody did that. And everyone was so naive to think back then, well, this can't fall. But the funny thing was, at the peak of it, they had a complete sheeple society, which was being taken advantage of by everybody at the top, and it imploded on itself. So in other words, the Rockefellers and everyone else may want this, but it's going to implode on itself too, which is sad. It's almost, like the old saying, don't bite the hand that feeds you. This is one of those scenarios. So, man, it's kind of disturbing when you really look at this. So I have to thank old Pastor Dowell, because I used to watch his videos a long time ago, and he always talk about homeschooling and get your kids out of the public school system and this and that. He didn't even get, I don't even think, even close to what this documentary uncovers. But he had pieces of this for sure, and we talk about it from time to time, and why get your kids out. But I always thought about that, so I look into it a little bit. My wife looks into it a little bit, and where we start researching, man, I think old Pastor Dowell may have been onto something. So, well, time went on, and next thing you know, we got to do this. Have to do it. We can afford to have my wife stay home. Beautiful. So, she homeschools. My wife does. And if it wasn't for Pastor Dowell, I don't know that we would be homeschooling right now. So I got to thank him for that right now. But this documentary, if you really need to look at all of it as to why we have a major problem in our public school system, this is it. It covers everything. And I got to urge you to watch this. You have to.